Hello, Earth Science class. So this week we're going to be learning about stars. Um, Originally, I was going to do this video in front of a starry night sky, but then I got lazy. So I'm just going to show you my favorite star constellation, which is called the Pleiades cluster. Pleiades, it's also, that's the Roman name, I believe, or maybe it's the Greek name. But the Japanese name is Subaru, but they all mean seven sisters. But if you count the number of stars, the big ones anyway, you'll see that there are actually only six. So we don't know why it's called seven sisters when there's only six stars. But anyway, so we're talking about stars this week. And I just want you guys to think about stars for a little bit. I want you to ask me a question about stars in today's attendance question. So what questions do you have about stars? And just kind of an introduction to the topic, we see stars every night. They're these tiny little dots that we see in the sky. And last week, the very last thing we did is talked about the sun. So the sun is this big burning ball of plasma. Plasma is just a very hot gas. So gases of hydrogen and helium are what mostly make up the sun, even though the sun is made up of a whole lots of different things. And there are tons of stars in our galaxy, just like the sun. So yes, the sun is a star. But I just wanted you guys to think about for a second, how do we study stars? Or more specifically, how do scientists study stars? If we want to study a planet, we can look at a planet with our telescope, but we have the technology to send probes to planets. But stars are so far away that we have not visited any other star except for the sun. And even the sun, we can't land on the sun because it would burn up. The sun's way too hot for anything that we've made. So how do we study stars if they're too far to go away to see? And even if we could go to them, we still couldn't land on them. The only thing we have to use to study stars with is their starlight. Everything we know about stars is through starlight. Let's let that sink in for a second. If a scientist wants to go study how a rabbit lives in the wild, he can go pick up that rabbit, study it in the lab, or study it in its natural environment. You could smell it, you could dissect it, you could do a whole lot of things to it. But imagine just trying to study an animal just by looking at it. You can make a whole lot of observations, but there's a lot less to be desired, probably. Stars, we can't dissect stars, we can't go inside stars. All we have to look at them is their light. So everything you learned this week is just by their light. Now, if you're wondering where the Pleiades cluster is, just look at a constellation map. This is actually a very zoomed in view of the Pleiades cluster. You guys are going to be learning about constellations today, and constellations are just how mankind sees stars. We kind of give shapes to different groups of stars to help us, well, keep track of different things. It used to be used for navigation a lot, and it still is if you're for airplane pilots and for people who sail boats. So hope you guys enjoyed this week. So just leave me, in today's attendance question, just leave me one or two questions. What questions do you have about stars? Look forward to seeing your questions. I'll talk to you later.